Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. The 6 actionable steps to get started in real estate. For a new investor, these are 6 steps that you can start with. So before you have a rental, before you understand how you're going to invest, these will be steps that you can start taking now. If you've been investing for 10 or more years, these are going to be steps that can apply to you too. For the last 2 years, and we all tend to have really short memories, it's been a seller's market. So our short memories tell us this is the only market we're ever going to see. We're going to, the fear of missing out belonged to the buyer. You had to make over asking offers. You had to act really quick. You had to make your offer in minutes, not hours or days. You had to waive contingencies. Some people were offering to name their kids after the sellers of the houses. That's a seller's market. At the few years before that, this is how short our memories are. 2015 to 2018, it was kind of normal to make an asking price offer or a little bit less, or the sellers would pay closing costs. You could negotiate closing costs for the sellers to pay for it. In the last 2 years, that hasn't been a thing. Interest rates spiked, and now we're seeing that fear of missing out shift from buyers to sellers. People who were thinking, as prices go up, it might make sense for me to sell my property. This is a ridiculous amount of money. I never thought I would get it, so I should just sell it. And so now they've made the mental decision to offload a property, and then interest rates went up. Buying power goes away. There's still demand, but some people can no longer qualify because the interest rates and the price make it to where they don't have the income to qualify for it. So now, as an investor, what we should start doing is watching for properties that get on the MLS and then sit 2, 3, 4 weeks instead of 2 or 3 hours. And you might start to see at asking or under asking price offers look attractive. You might start to see sellers pay closing costs. So we're seeing that market shift. So the 6 steps that I'm going to talk about how to get started in real estate work whether you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, a balanced market, and markets shift quickly. 10 years ago, maybe a little more, 10 or 11 years ago, I was a single parent with 3 kids. I had been laid off from a police department and was teaching at a truck driving school, making $17 an hour. And I found out about a lot of bad debt in my name that I didn't know existed until I got divorced. So I was in a really bad position. With my strategies for investing in buy and hold real estate, flash forward to 10 years and forward now from that position I started in, I now have 16 rental units that I self-manage. The cash flow, which is profit after principal, interest, taxes, insurance, setting aside for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy, literally the money that I get to take and spend or invest, that's 6 figures. Work is completely optional. It took about 8 years. I've used a combination of house hacking. I've house hacked twice. And the rest of it has been saving down payments and buying properties from the MLS with traditional lending. So no secret sauce, no seller financing, no BRRRR method, no flipping, no wholesaling, just slow and steady to reach financial freedom in 10 years or less. I think the average person can do it, even if you're not starting from the best position. The 6 actionable steps to get started in real estate worked in 2010, worked in 2008, worked in 2015, works today. These are steps that you can take if you have no rentals. These are the same steps I'm taking with 16 units. The first step for everybody, no matter what your position is learning how to live on less than you make and learning how to save. And a lot of people, when we focus on saving, talk about reducing or eliminating your costs. So we have the latte factor where you cut out things like subscriptions or going for coffee. You have house hacking where I talk about reducing or eliminating, which for most of us is our largest expense, which is housing. But that's the mistake. You can only save 100% of what you make. It's a limited thing. And that's somehow, if you're living in your mom's basement and they cover all the food and healthcare and transportation and you don't have any expenses, you can save 100% of what you make. Our goal should be to be able to save 100% of what you make, because if you can't save 100% of what you're earning from your job, you're still trapped in the rat race and you are not financially free. To reach financial freedom means you don't need your job, so you should be able to save 100% of it. That should be your savings rate goal. So we should focus on saving by eliminating costs. But the biggest thing that contributes to our ability to save is increasing the top line, the money that you have coming in. For some of us, that's working overtime at the job we have. For some of us, it's developing a skill. It could be getting a college degree. It could be getting an HVAC technician certificate. It could be getting a welding certificate or license. It could be getting a CDL. It could be working in a field that has an apprenticeship program like electrician or plumbing, to where at 4 years you can make journeyman level wages. What are you doing to increase that top line? For other people, Overtime might not be an option. Single parent, 3 kids. I worked as much as I could, but I still needed home time. It could be developing a side hustle. I have a couple. I have a video on my side hustles. I provide expert testimony for cases, which you can charge for. I actually played World of Warcraft and sold things online. So you can actually sell things. This is probably the easiest time in history to start a side hustle. You can start a small YouTube channel on any topic. There is a subset of people who will watch. And YouTube doesn't pay a lot, but affiliate marketing pays better. On my channel, I've got some videos where I talk about, here's the lock that I use in my rentals, which is the actual lock I use. I give the reasoning that I use it. I talk about how it improves tenant retention, how it makes it to where I've never had to deal with a lockout. Like there's an actual reason why I'm backing up this lock. But how affiliate marketing works for something like Amazon is if you clicked on that lock and you went to Amazon just to look at it, Amazon puts a cookie on your computer for 24 hours. So anything that you purchased in the next 24 hours, I got a tiny little percentage of it. Didn't cost you anything extra, but I got paid for driving the traffic to Amazon. So those are side hustles that you can do to increase that top line. Reducing your bottom line matters. So now you're increasing this so that you can save and invest the difference between what you make and what you're spending. Because saving won't make you wealthy. You have to invest it. So that's the first of the 6 steps. Learn how to save. Doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. If you are living beyond your means, your assets aren't, if they're not covering all of your expenses, you're not going to be financially free for long if you are now. The second thing that you can be working on now, so this is the second step, which you can do at the same time as the first step, is to work on your credit score. And I understand if you're a Dave Ramsey fan, it says having a credit score is a trap because it makes you more likely to use credit cards and use consumer debt. And think of things like buy now, pay later can be attractive. If you have a good enough credit score, they'll let you do that. And those are all mistakes. We don't want consumer debt. But to get the best interest rates for the home you're going to purchase or rentals that you're going to acquire, if you don't go the Dave Ramsey route and you go the way I do, where you use leverage or mortgages and don't over leverage yourself, the goal should be to have a 740 or higher credit score. You can start getting mortgages and loans in the 600s, but at 740 or higher, you get the best rates and terms, and you're the most likely to qualify for what you need to borrow. And there are several different ways to invest in real estate with lenders. There are qualified mortgages where you are the borrower. They're going to check your credit score, your income, your debt to income ratio, your salary, your work history, blood type, all the kind of things that they need to know if they can lend you money safely or not. There is asset-based lending, non-QM loans, DSCR loans, where they're going to look at the asset itself to see if it can produce the income. But even in those situations, your credit score is a factor. They're not going to look at your income, your debt to income ratio, your work history. You aren't a factor, but your credit score still matters. So you want to, no matter what your position on debt is today, you don't know what it's going to be in 2 or 4 years. So I would be working on the credit score because a better credit score doesn't hurt you. Those are the first 2 steps. The third step when it comes to investing in real estate is to find out what your options are. I would talk to a lender based on my debt to income ratio, my credit score, my work history. What can I borrow? What are my options? If your credit score is in the 500s and you just changed jobs last month, you got out of the military working in culinary, so you were a chef and then you get out, now you're a truck driver, that's a big career change, right? So all of that looks bad. But if you have a good credit score, that lender might tell you you're a good candidate for a DSCR loan or asset-based lending or non-QM or something where your information is looked at differently. Until you know what your options are, you won't know how to limit your search criteria. And if you've noticed, so far, I'm on step 3, save, credit, lender. We haven't talked to a real estate agent yet. And most people think that's step 1. They think, I want to talk to an agent and find out what's going on. I know a friend who's an agent. I have a brother or a cousin or somebody who's an agent. And the first bit of hard news to take is any real estate agent you know or work with, and any lender you know or work with, is not your mentor. An agent's job is to close deals. A lender's job is to sell loan products. They are not even if they're an investor, they're not the best option as a mentor. Because right now, at these beginning stages, if you try to find a mentor, you're going to be all over the board and don't know what you even need to learn. So it's really hard as a mentor to help somebody until they've got the focus and the baseline of what they want to invest in. So the first 3 steps, anybody can do at any stage. The 4th step, still before we talk to an agent, is to figure out your strategy. How are you going to invest? And I want to take a really quick second to explain the difference between strategies and tactics. This is something that's very important to understand, because when you start looking up something like the BRRRR method, you're probably going to watch a lot of videos on the BRRRR method and how the BRRRR method works. And the overarching buy, rehab a place, rent it out, refinance it, repeat. We get that, right? That's a strategy. Once you understand the strategy, watching a whole bunch of BRRRR method videos isn't going to help you. But how do you buy your properties? How do you run the numbers? How do you figure out your after repair value? All of those things that come into play as you make your money when you buy. So you're going to watch a bunch of those videos because those are tactics. The rehab. How long does a rehab take? How much should it cost? What kind of things should I rehab that will actually add value to the property and not just spend money without an actual return? Those are tactics, things that you want to learn inside the strategy. I'm not saying go the BRRRR method. I'm saying that is one strategy. And I'll probably butcher this. It's a quote from the book, The Art of War, from Sun Tzu. Strategy without tactics is the slowest path to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. So if you know how to find a property, or you know how to screen a tenant, and you really learn that tactic, but you don't have a strategy, you're just going to be all over the place and not actually have success. And if you figure out you want to do the BRRRR method, but you don't take the time to learn the tactics, you'll probably have a successful BRRRR at some point. But think of how long it's going to take and how many mistakes you're going to make along the way. Learn to save, work on credit, talk to a lender to find out your options, pick your strategy. If your strategy is to generate income, wholesaling and flipping are usually the two that people go to, but those are jobs. Getting a real estate license adds a job. I am an investor, not an entrepreneur. So I wasn't looking to add a job. I wanted to add investments, cash flow that I didn't have to work for. So I've never wholesaled. I've never flipped. There's a long list of reasons why I'm not a real estate agent. Those are strategies that work for some people if your goal is to create a job for yourself. They're episodical. You stop working, the money stops coming in. There are methods like buy and hold. But do you buy and hold storage? Do you buy and hold multifamily, small multifamily, single family? There's buy and hold long-term rentals, short-term rentals. There's all of these strategies that you need to pick what fits three things for you. Your goal. Are you working towards financial freedom? To grow a machine that just keeps growing to create generational wealth? What is your goal, right? Figure that out first to make sure that your strategy matches that. My goal was to create a side hustle that generated income that didn't take a lot of extra time. So I don't do the BRRRR method, even though that is a form of buy and hold. I don't self-manage short-term rentals because I don't have the time or bandwidth to do that right now. I self-manage long-term rentals, and I buy rent-ready or already occupied properties that don't need a rehab. Been investing over 10 years, still haven't done a full rehab. So and closest I've come is paint and flooring. And while I have painted once or twice, flooring is, I call a guy. So I'm not even doing that kind of work. So what strategy fits your goals? What strategy fits your resources? How much time do you have to dedicate? How much money do you have to invest? Do you need partners? Do you need to find creative ways to generate capital? And the third thing, so you want to, what matches your goals, what matches your resources, and what matches your skill set. My brother is a craftsman. He buys falling down, literally pieces falling off, mobile homes on acreage in the middle of nowhere. And then he has craftsman skills to go in and do great drywall work with rounded corners, vaulted ceilings. Like, he makes it look like an amazing rental. And so he's been able to buy properties that are very inexpensive, do a rehab, and then he uses a home equity line of credit on his own property. So he's never done a refi. So he does like a half a BRRRR. I am not a craftsman. I do not have those kind of skills. I don't have the time to develop them. I don't have the time to do the work. So that strategy wouldn't work for me. Three things: goal, resources, skills. Make sure that it matches that. So save, credit score, lender, strategy. Step 5 of step 6, all the way here at 5, almost to the end. That's when you finally talk to a real estate agent. And here's where a lot of people mess up. A lot of people reach out to an agent before you've talked to a lender. Believe me, any agent that ever watches this in future land, or if there's any here today, they're going to thank you for talking to a lender before you talk to them, because you know what your limits are. You know what to set your searches for. You know what your options are. A lot of times, if an agent is intuitive and you reach out to them, the first thing they're going to say is, have you talked to a lender yet? Okay, here's a couple recommendations I have for you to go to talk to, because it's a waste of an agent's time to even set up an auto search for somebody who's going to want to look at properties, tour properties, make offers on properties, and then not qualify for it. So step 5 is to talk to that agent. And there's a huge mistake that people make. First of all, there's a long list of reasons why I'm not an agent, but there's also a path to success is your team. And your team doesn't mean there's an agent that you work with. I specifically work with at least 3 agents. So the first thing I'm going to say, agents don't like to hear. The second thing they might like to hear. The first thing is, if you're a home buyer and you're going to look at 10 or 15 houses and you're going to take up an agent's time and you're going to ask a million questions, it absolutely makes sense for that agent to sign what is called an exclusivity agreement, where you are only going to work with that agent, at least for a period of time, 6 months or a year or whatever. Totally makes sense for that agent to protect their time. But as an investor, I have a copy and paste cookie cutter. This is what I want. This is my footprint, the type of properties I look at, the pricing, or these are my no's. I don't want HOAs. I don't want foreclosures. I don't want short sales, like the list of things I want. I send that to the agent to set up an auto search. The 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes it takes them to set up that auto search and get it dialed in is the only interaction that agent is going to have with me, period, until I want to make an offer on a property that they send me. And I take this from Matt, the lumberjack landlord. Dance with the one who brung you. Somebody sends you a deal, you make sure they get the commission. So that's the first part that agents sometimes don't like to hear, is that I will not only exclusively work with one agent. On a deal, sure, I'll sign. If they're making the offer, I will work with them until it's closed. But while I'm searching for properties is nuanced. Like I said, the exact same cookie cutter email. These are the things I want for the agents to search. In over 10 years, my agents have one time, sent me the same property within 24 hours. Now, with properties that sit on the MLS 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, they do tend to send them, and I just look at who sent it to me first. So if I was only using one agent, or if I was an agent and I had full access to the MLS, I would still have other agents with auto searches set up. The second thing when it comes to agents is, and please take a note, pen and paper ready? Never negotiate down an agent's commission. You want to fail in this business? This is a finite resource of people. This is a people business. Your reputation will follow you for decades. Now, an agent, you see them getting, I had an agent who got $17,000 commission one time on one of my properties. Okay. So let's cut that in half for his brokerage. Let's cut that in half, and let's take out the MLS access fees, his brokerage fees, on top of them getting half of the commission. Let's take out the taxes. The amount of work that went into that person finding that deal, setting it up, making the offer, the training it took to be able to make the offer with the right legal forms and in such a way that I'm confident to make the offer without having to double or triple check their work. I just know I can trust that agent, is so worth that amount of money that agent, because I'm happy they made their commission, brings me deals. So they have auto searches set up. And I got a call last week where they called, literally said, which is weird, text in the future. But they called and they said, hey, in those most recent auto searches, have you seen this one? And then pointed out one that was a great deal. And I've got an offer in on it because that person, that agent, wants me to make the offers because they know that I want them to earn money. The more money my agents make, exponentially, the more amount of money I'm going to make now and in the future. So that's the first 5 steps. The 6th step, step 6, after you've learned how to save, worked on your credit score, talked to a lender, picked a strategy, talked to an agent, because now you know what you want to invest in, how you want to invest, and where you want to invest. Step number 6 is to do the work. Every single day, look at deals, run the numbers, figure out if your strategy works in that area. I initially wanted to invest in single-family houses here in Pierce and Thurston counties in Washington State. They don't cash flow. I shifted my strategy based on what would work. If I wasn't doing the work, I wouldn't have been able to figure that out. Run the numbers on more deals. Find people who are investors. Ask them if you can run the numbers on their rental. Show them what you come up with. See how close you come to what their actual cash flow looks like. 6 super simple, super basic steps to get started in real estate. That's the entirety of the secret sauce of my strategy to reach financial freedom. Along the way, I developed the binder strategy where I get my tenants to request a rent increase. That doesn't make it easier to find properties on the MLS. I hope you enjoyed this clip from one of my long live streams. I do my live streams every Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, and they last as long as the questions do. You can find the entire video here. Until my next video, Thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.